Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight I'm here to talk to you about the Todt family. This is a really crazy story and I had to share it with you guys. Up until a few days ago, I had not heard of it and I thought that I would share it with you guys. So if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so I want to first give credit where credit is due. I learned about this story because of Stephanie Harlow. I'm sure many of you subscribe to her or at least know of her. And she did a 3-part video series this past week on the Todt family. I was so shook after watching the 3 videos that she did. I knew that I wanted to talk about this because I've talked once before about the Watts family, and we all know about Chris Watts. I think that every true crime channel and every non-true crime channel that sprinkles in stuff here and there regarding true crime has talked about Chris Watts. It was covered by everyone under the sun. People that had never even done YouTube videos started channels to talk about Chris Watts. And he's horrible. Bottom of the barrel. However, I will say that if Chris Watts is driving the bus to hell, Anthony Todt is sitting shotgun. It is wild what this guy did. So I do want to put a trigger warning in the beginning of this video. Obviously, you guys could tell by the title of it that what we're going to be talking about today is sensitive. If you are not in a place to listen to this, you can save it to watch later, or you don't have to watch it at all. Either way is fine with me. I also recognize that talking about true crime can be upsetting for some people, and I don't want to ignore that. So I did want to put the trigger warning here in case you guys aren't in a position where you can watch or listen to it. It's all good. I completely understand. You know, that's another reason why I don't focus completely on true crime, because I realize that that's not everyone's genre of what they like to consume. So if you do want to listen to this, please listen to my video, and then I'm going to link Stephanie Harlow's channel in my description box. If you want a more detailed conversation about this, please go watch her videos. They are long, but they are worth it. I think she does a great job. I want to introduce you to this story, and then I want you guys to go into the rabbit holes that I just came out of, finding out more about this family and why this happened, or trying to figure out why it happened. It is a lot. So let's get started. I think that you guys are going to be shook by the end of this video. So before we get to the actual event that happened with the Todt family at the hands of Anthony Todt, which it was the father of the family, let's go back to the beginning, because something happened in Anthony's childhood that I think is very important to this whole story, and I want to tell that to you guys first so that you have a better image of what he was like as a kid and what he witnessed as a young boy. So Anthony Todt was born September 29th, 1975. He resided in Pennsylvania with both of his parents, and at the age of 4 he was home with his mother and his sister Chrissy. What happened that night would change Anthony's life forever. Someone came into the home and shot his mother in the eye, and it was intended to get rid of her completely, but it didn't. She ended up surviving, but she did end up losing her eye because of this incident. The suspect who went into the home that night and did this to Anthony's mother, it was actually figured out that Anthony's father hired one of his students to carry out this act for him. In fact, he not only solicited and hired this individual, but he also provided the individual with the and the bullets to carry out the act to get rid of his wife. Now, Anthony's mother, I have to say, there for a long time, she was in denial that her husband was behind this. He denied it happened. She denied that he was behind it. She testified at court on her husband's behalf and just acted like this wasn't even a possibility. My husband would not do that. And I have to say, it takes a very strong woman to receive this information and continue to stand by your spouse. I can't say what I would do if I was in that situation, but if the evidence pointed to the fact that my significant other hired someone to get rid of me and the person carried out the act, whether or not I survived or was injured, I think that I would go with the evidence. I don't think that I would be able to stand next to someone. But again, I understand that people deal with emotions all different ways, and different circumstances create different emotions. So, not shaming her, just saying. Now, as far as his father wanting to get rid of Anthony's mother, his motive was pretty clear. He was having extramarital affairs during this time in his life, and like many other people, you start to have an affair and you figure to get rid of the spouse that you're married to or in the serious relationship with, just get rid of them, and then you and your side partner can dance off into the sunset. Never works out that way. But unfortunately, these things happen all of the time. Now, even though Anthony's mother did testify on her husband's behalf in court, he was still sentenced to 10 to 20 years for this situation that he attempted to carry out. Later on, he did have his sentence reduced, and he is now a free man. He's living out in the world. I don't know what state he lives in, but he is also remarried, and he's just living his life at this point in time. So I have to say, I wanted to throw that in the beginning of this video because I can't say what it would be like to be 4 years old and witness this happen and go through the rest of your life. I can't imagine that if it wasn't treated for a very long time, that it would have detrimental mental health effects on the child. So it doesn't make sense what happens later on in this story. It still doesn't reconcile for me, but knowing that happened to him as a child, it sort of is like one small piece of this big puzzle as to why he did what he did down the road. Now, after this attack on Anthony's mom, she ended up moving him and his sister Chrissy to Colchester, Connecticut. They were in Pennsylvania, like I said, when this happened. That's where the beginning of his life started. They ended up moving to Colchester with the mother and residing there. Now, shortly after they got to Connecticut, Loretta, which is Anthony's mom, I don't know if I said her name in the beginning of this video, Loretta sort of changed her view on what had happened, and instead of continuing to believe that her husband would have never done this to her, she did switch her view and realize, yes, this is actually what happened. So it's not like she never came to terms with it. It just took her a little while, but she did eventually look at the evidence and look at the facts, and she did change her mind. Now, sources did say that Anthony did receive some mental health counseling for what he witnessed being done to his mother, but I don't know how long the counseling lasted, and I also don't know if it was enough for helping him through what he needed help with. I hope that makes sense. I just look at that situation and I'm like, I don't really know if a year of counseling or 18 months of counseling would help a child that was that young get over to the other side and work through their emotions and the mental health aspects of witnessing this happen to your mother. So life goes on for Anthony, and he becomes a physical therapist. He is a business owner in Connecticut, and as of 2019, the Todt family consisted of Anthony, who was 45, Megan, who was 42, so had two sons, Alec, who was 13, Tyler, who was 11, and a sweet little daughter named Zoe, who was 4 years old, along with their family dog named Breezy. Now, as I said, even though Anthony was a small business owner, he was a physical therapist, his practice was declining in the year of 2019 financially, and he had gotten himself into some hot water. I'll get there in a second. However, what he was doing was working at his practice in Colchester, Connecticut, Monday through Friday, and then going to a rental home that they had in Celebration, Florida, on the weekends to hang out with his wife and kids. And then he would go back to Colchester again the next week to run his practice Monday through Friday. Now, as far as Celebration, Florida goes, I want to tell you guys a little bit about Celebration, because I wasn't aware of what Celebration really was until I was looking into this. Now, the whole idea of Celebration, Florida is, Disney created Celebration. So they wanted it to be sort of like a Pleasantville-esque, like everything is clean, the houses are perfect. Everyone sits on their porch and drinks lemonade in the summer. A picture perfect community for people to own or rent homes in. And it's quite interesting. I'll throw some photos of homes in Celebration for reference, but it really does sound like the picture perfect storybook, especially to have a rental house, kind of like how Anthony was doing Monday through Friday, running his business and coming home on the weekends. Celebration does seem like the perfect place to spend your weekends at. You have a little rental house down there, you have a pool, a big front porch, every neighbor gets along with every other neighbor. So for this to happen in Celebration it's shocking anyway. But for the people that live in Celebration, I feel like they thought they were in this little picture perfect bubble. And when this happened, it's sort of like it was 10 times more shocking, because it's like, well, we live in Celebration. So along with the rental house in Celebration, they also did own a condo in Celebration, but it seems like they spent more time at the home in Celebration that they were renting versus the condo. Later on, it's figured out that Anthony was doing a little bit of work at the condo, so I'm not sure if it was just detrimental and that's the kind of work that was being done there, or if it was just simple, around the house, fixing cabinets, painting. I'm not sure what was going on over there, but it is to be noted that they did have 2 homes in Celebration, 1 condo that was owned, and a single family home that they were renting. Now, in November of 2019, Anthony actually met with federal investigators because, like I said, he had gotten himself into a little bit of hot water financially with his business. And what Anthony was doing was he was filing false Medicaid and private insurance claims. So he was saying that, Timmy Smith was at my office and this is what I did on this date of service. He would submit it to the insurance, but it was actually a day that the office wasn't even open. So Medicaid and the insurance companies caught on to it. Federal investigators got involved and they ended up opening an investigation on Anthony. What the hell's going on here? Why are you billing for visits when your office was closed that day? It became a really, really big mess. And obviously, Anthony was doing this to suffice his lifestyle. Based on what I've gathered, this was definitely a family living above their means. I talk to you guys about this a lot. Some of you guys know my background a little bit, and when people ask, how to save money, what's the best way to, try to not be, broke, especially if you're, making a normal salary and stuff. Biggest thing that I saw repeated was people living above their means. So living off of credit cards, spending way too much money, buying multiple properties when all they really needed was 1 home. You don't need 5 houses. If you like to travel, then rely on a hotel or do a timeshare. You don't need to buy multiple properties just because you like to travel. So living above their means was definitely something that I would see repeated myself. And that's definitely not a secret, but the Todt family was absolutely living above their means. Some of it was definitely assisted by Anthony running these Medicaid and private insurance schemes. But of course, if you're doing things in the dark, they're going to come to light, and that's definitely what happened. So that's why, as of November 2019, he did meet with these federal investigators. And he admitted to what he had been doing. It's not like he tried to run or lie or throw it on a colleague. He definitely admitted to what he was doing, but I believe the total was around $100,000 or $200,000 for these claims that he had billed for and been paid for, and the visits never even happened. Now, if we fast forward about a month, this is where things start to go downhill with the Todt family. On December 29th of 2019, Anthony's sister Chrissy ended up calling the local sheriffs in Celebration, Florida, because she wanted them to do a welfare check on the family, the home that they were renting. She provided this address and she said, I haven't heard from them in a few days. Anthony had told me that they were all sick with the flu, but I still haven't heard from them. Can you guys go over there and do a welfare check, a wellness check on the family? And nothing wrong with that. I would have probably done the same thing, especially if it's a family member that you talk to often and then you hear that they're sick. You don't hear from them after that. It's not out of the ordinary to ask the sheriffs to do a wellness check on a family. Now, when the sheriffs arrived at the rental home, they didn't see anything that was out of the ordinary. The blinds were closed, the door was closed, the vehicle was in the driveway. So it didn't look alarming to them, and they were not able to just barge into the house because they didn't have a search warrant. So they went and they left. Now, in between December 29th and January 6th, there were some text messages being sent from Megan's cell phone. One of their neighbors actually sent Megan a text and said, "Hey, you have an eviction notice here, just FYI." And that neighbor did receive a response from Megan's cell phone, and it was very short and sweet, and it just said, "Okay, thanks." Now, if I received a text from a neighbor that said I was facing eviction, I think that would get a bigger response than "okay, thanks." But some people are very secretive, they're very quiet, so I don't want to judge that too much. But I did think that it was a little bizarre that there wasn't, I don't know, any kind of urgency behind that, or you're being evicted from your house. I would have been like, "Oh, I'll come grab the notice right away," or "I'll come talk to you about it," or "Can you stop by? I don't know, so whatever, it's fine. Following January 6th, there were some additional requests put in for wellness checks regarding the Todt family. But on January 10th, the local sheriffs actually went to the condo and the single family home that they were renting. And when they arrived to both homes, there were eviction notices posted at each residence that the local authorities did see. The following day, on January 11th, the authorities returned to the single family home in Celebration to arrest Anthony on the charges of the Medicaid fraud that he was facing from the case in Connecticut. They did find that the family vehicle had not been moved, and on January 13th, they did actually see Anthony entering the residence, the single family home that they were renting. After they saw him enter the residence, they ended up getting out of their cars, going and knocking on the front door, and it went unanswered. However, Anthony forgot to lock the door, so the police did enter the home, and this is where things get really, really bad. As soon as authorities entered the home, the smell of decomposition was overpowering to the officers. They asked Anthony, "Where's your family?" He said, "My boys are actually at a sleepover and my wife is upstairs sleeping." He ended up calling Megan's name really casually. Obviously, Megan did not answer, and once they realized that she didn't answer, combined with the overpowering smell of decomp, the authorities ended up going upstairs and they entered the master bedroom where they found an absolutely heartbreaking and gruesome scene. When the officers entered the master bedroom, they found Megan, Zoe, Alec, Tyler, and Breezy, all deceased in the master bedroom in advanced stages of decomposition. It is alleged that the method that Anthony used was a high dose of Benadryl combined with using 2 hunting knives and also some. Based on the timeline that authorities had provided, it is estimated that this happened sometime before Christmas. So he was residing in the house with his family, decomposing for over 2 weeks. And let's just stop right there for a second. I realize that mental health issues and these kinds of things collide and they can cause a lot of issues. I can't fathom doing that. But to, on top of it, be residing in the same house with your decomposing family members in your bedroom, even if let's just say he wasn't staying in his bedroom, you have your family decomposing in your home. I don't understand how that can even, I don't understand how that can even exist. That kind of evil, I don't know how it can exist. I really don't. Now, Anthony was obviously taken into direct custody that same day by authorities, but he had told the authorities that he took a lethal dose of Benadryl because he wanted to end it. They ended up taking him to the hospital so that could be addressed, and then he was taken directly to jail. And the doctors did confirm, even though he claimed that he had a lethal dose in his system, it was not a lethal dose that was found once they actually got to see him at the hospital. So that's a lie for sure. Anthony was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony animal cruelty. There was no bond set, obviously. I think that there was a bond set for the animal cruelty. There was no bond set for the 4 other counts that he was facing, so he was definitely not going home. Now, initially, Anthony did confess to getting rid of his entire family. He admitted to it all in a confession, but then he decided to write a 27-page letter retracting his confession, saying that he had no memory of what happened, and just like Chris Watts decided to do, he decided to blame his wife, who was no longer here to stand up for herself. It's my wife has mental health issues, my wife was doing this, my wife was doing that. I don't know who is going to believe anything. When you confess to something and then you retract it and blame it on the person who's dead and no longer here to stand up for themselves, why are we even entertaining this? Why are we wasting hours of authorities' time and resources to listen to someone who wants to now all of a sudden blame something on their spouse who's no longer here to stand up for themselves? The thing I did find interesting is in this 27-page letter where he wanted to blame his wife for everything, he never said anything about the dog. So y'all know how I am. I'm a massive animal lover. No answer as to, did she get rid of the dog? Did you? Are you still saying that you are confessing to that? Like, what's going on? There is a recorded phone call that I listened to, which I'll link in my description box, of him talking to his sister Chrissy about this. And the patience and respect that she's showing to Anthony on this phone call, I think, is deplorable. I don't understand. I don't care if it's blood or not. If this individual just got rid of his entire family, there is no way that I'm going to sit on a phone call with you and show any amount of love, patience, respect, nothing. And she just kind of, she might be one of those people who is, looking at it like, well, blood is thicker than water. That's my brother. Now, on that same phone call, even though he wants to play the memory loss game again, I did find it interesting where he was giving her very precise details about where to find certain information, where to find baseball cards, offering his vehicle to another family member, saying what kind of service record the car had and what the car needed. So you don't remember anything about getting rid of your family, but you remember where these special documents are and when your last oil change was. Bullshit. Now, Anthony's trial is set to start this month, September of 2021, so I will keep an eye on it and I will bring you guys an update later on. This story is just so gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. I cannot, I just can't understand the gruesome level that some people will go to in order to extinguish people that love them. Those kids loved their father. His wife loved him. And, you know, it's always the picture perfect families that have the darkest, just the darkest things come out, and it's just gut-wrenching. You know, if you're that unhappy, get a divorce. You know, I think a lot of, if I was gonna say where his motive came from, in my personal opinion, I think that the Medicaid fraud scheme was embarrassing for him, and he knew that he was gonna end up facing some time for that, and he was probably embarrassed that he, you know, got into that situation. He knew that they were in a financial crisis. They were being evicted from their house. And the notice was on the condo as well. It said that they own that condo, so I don't know why there would be an eviction notice, but either way, they were at a pinnacle of a financial crisis. If you're gonna run insurance and Medicaid schemes, then you're going to face the music at some point or another. You're going to get caught on to everything that's done in the dark always comes to light. That's always the way that it's been. That's always the way it will be. And my heart breaks for the children and his wife Megan, and of course their family dog Breezy. They didn't deserve any of that. So it's a really sad story, and I wanted to give you guys an overview of what happened with this family. What do you guys think about this? Did you hear about this case? Did you watch it on Stephanie Harlow's channel like I did? You know, if you have some time and you haven't seen her videos, watch them. They are worth the watch. And she goes into obviously a lot more detail than I did. That's just the style of her videos. That's why there's also 3 instead of just 1. So great delivery, great information on her part, but this just crushed my soul. And I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on it, the ones that are out there I've watched. I've read a lot of articles, and I've walked away feeling even more sad and crushed than I did when I first watched the videos from Stephanie. So either way, yeah, for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.